going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and another hero spotlight. So with all the flamethrower builds I've been doing lately, I've gotten quite a few requests to do a flamethrower hero spotlight, and figured, hey, why not? Here goes. Now, first things first, though, I do want to throw a little disclaimer out there, and I don't want to necessarily discourage people from playing this build. However, I do want to let you know that it is not viable unless you get a full set of gear. Once you get your gear all the way to where you need it to be, that's when it becomes viable to use as an actual build. Now, of course, the build itself is based off of owning this Flamethrower Sphere, which is a Uber Sphere, which costs 5,000 Defender medals right here from the pirate. Now, the basis of this build is going to be defense power and defense crit. So when we're speccing into our stats, the first thing we want to do, as with most builders, is we want to go ahead and max out our range and max out our defense speed. Once we get those done, we want to go ahead and throw 200 into defense power to get it maxed out. You've got 30 left over, might as well dump that right into defense crit. Now, since this is a defense crit build, of course you're going to want your defense crit chance at 30%. As you see here, I've actually got 31%, which is a little bit high. But if I actually lay the tower down and take a look at the tooltip, you see there it's only a 30% crit chance. So the towers do cap out at 30%. Now, on that same note, as you're farming gear, you're going to want to make sure that every piece you have has defense power and defense crit on it. You see I've got some defense power, defense health boots, which are not necessarily the right ones, but I went on and went with it for just a couple of points of defense health to give those towers just a little bit of meat. Now, the weapon does not matter. I get a lot of people asking me, what weapon is this I'm using? This is a drops anywhere generic weapon. I think I probably found this on Onslaught. I'm not positive though. The only things that you do want on your weapon is you see the Pyromania, increased damage of both Flame Burst Tower and Flamethrower Tower by 2%. That can go as high as 3%, and you want that passive and defense crit chance on every piece. Now, moving right along, the ideal set is going to have Pyromania, defense crit, plus Vector Corrector, as Vector Corrector, of course, is going to increase the tower's range. So we want to make sure we have those three passives on every single piece. Once you get all those to every piece, then it pays off to go ahead and get the sphere and start using it. Now, that's an Uber Sphere, of course. Costs the 5,000 Defender medals. You're also going to want the large sphere, extra flame damage. 20% chance per hit that Flame Burst Tower and Flamethrower Tower perform an extra hit for 100% damage. So every time it ticks, basically, there's a 20% chance it's going to do 100% additional damage, which is pretty awesome. For the medium spheres, you want to go with defense range on both of them. Now, the only exception here would be if your defense crit is not quite at 30%. If your defense crit is not there, then you're going to want to put the defense crit sphere to give yourself an extra 5%. Since I am there, I don't need to fill that in. So I can move on over to the smalls. Now, with the three small spheres, you're almost always going to want to include defense speed. The defense speed sphere 5, which is 20 defense speed, you're going to want to include that into the mix. Now, once again, depending on where your defense crit is at, you can go ahead and subsidize that to get it up to 30%. Of course, there's the 1-3%. And then you can have up to 2, or actually you can have up to 3 2% spheres. Of course, why would you use 3 2% when one of them can be a 3%? So that's the skill spheres that you want to use. These three skill spheres, the smalls, are really optional to use whatever you want as long as you're at the defense crit cap. So you want to make sure you're getting yourself to 30% defense crit. Stack out defense power as much as you can. Get defense crit damage on every piece that you can, and then get the Pyromania, defense critical chance, and the Vector Corrector passives on every piece that you can as well. Now, once again, this does not really become super viable until you get a full set of gear. At Tier 1, They don't do a bad job, but they're not overly impressive. As you upgrade them, though, they do get substantially meaner. So several of these in a lane is going to do quite a bit of damage through the course of the map. Of course, it hits all the bads in the lane. And another important thing to note is that the Flamethrower Tower does not have as much aggro as, say, a Flame Burst Tower. It has a reduced amount of aggro, which means you can put it in a little bit riskier places without worrying about them getting shots taken at them. Now, ranged mobs and flyers are going to target these towers very, very regularly, so you want to make sure you give yourself a little bit of protection from that. Keep them back a little ways. Don't put them right on top of your other defenses, as these guys could take some shots from the ranged and the flying mobs. So that's going to do it for now. Thanks again. We'll see you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, click that like button and mash this big J over here to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.